Hey guys, welcome back to Minecraft the End, and where we will hear another chapter, and we will hear chapter 2. It is titled The Dome and the Dragon. It starts on page 17 and goes to page 29. If you guys enjoyed this chapter, make sure you guys subscribe and stay tuned for all of the other Minecraft novels. Without further ado, here we go. Finn sat on the lump of yellow hill on the very edge of the Telos. He munched his chorus fruit and stared down at the courtyard below him. It forked off from the main tower of one of the smaller pagodas in the city. Above it, banners hung still in the windless night. Below it, nothing but darkness. But inside the courtyard, inside it was the Ender Dome. Mo didn't like to come up here. If they don't want us, I don't want them, she always said. Then she buried herself in something or other, so she didn't have to keep talking about it. But Finn couldn't stop himself. He loved to watch the Enderfrags learning, dueling, playing, sparring, drilling, even their unofficial feuds and brawls. He stayed close enough to stack with them and keep from going totally dangery, dumb and angry. Finn's own word for what Endermen alone were like, but far enough away that no one could chase him off. This was where Enderfrags trained to survive in the overworld, to serve the great chaos, to fight humans. Finn told him, his twin, he didn't care about the overworld. She could see his thoughts, so it was true. Or she could have called him out. But only partially true, only mostly. Finn didn't care about going up to the big, bright, hot place, but he longed to train with the other fragments in the inner dome. And the whole point of the inner dome was to go up to the overworld someday and punch away anything you found there to pieces. He imagined himself in the dome with the others, top of the class, popular, with 10 or even 20 people to talk to anytime he had a spare thought, instead of just his twin and a cranky shulker at the end of every day. They were doing teleportation today, flickering in and out of the sight, up to the top of the tower and back down, out into the hills and back to the courtyard, here, there, and everywhere. I could do that, Finn thought. I could do it so good, better than at least half of them. Three quarters, maybe. Yeah, definitely three quarters. Okay, maybe he couldn't do it that well here, but back home, on his ship, Finn could disappear and reappear like a deck of cards shuffling. Ace, king, queen, jack, bow stern, hold, crow's nest, no problem. But that's why he needed to be in the Ender Dome with all the other Ender frags, so he could learn to do it everywhere, not just where he felt safe and comfortable. It wasn't fair. Sometimes, when you teleported, it felt like you passed through other places on your way to the place you were going, as though the world got thin when you punched through like that, and you could see through to the other ends almost like this one, but more peaceful, quieter, more full of everything good and useful. Finn wanted to ask about those other places, but he wasn't allowed to train, so he didn't have anyone to ask. The injustice of it burned, but that stung, that really stung, was that Finn and Mo were actually pretty smart. Just the two of them, much smarter than the average Enderman alone. If you asked Finn or Mo, they never got dangery back home on their ship, far away from everyone else. Imagine how clever they could be if they were allowed to go to the dome with the other fragments. Endermen were always cleverest in groups. The bigger the group, the better. If they were this good as a two stack, the twins could be gods with 2 dozen. But they never got the chance. Mo didn't think they needed training in the least. She'd even told him so that morning. And he was heading out. Well, not morning, not really. That was overworld talk, order talk. But you could make a kind of day and night out of the glow of the inner rods. They got brighter and duller on a pretty regular schedule. You could You could think of them as a clock if you wanted to, but that was a little bit of blasphemy, making order out of chaos, time out of timelessness. It was naughty, and therefore thrilling. So every once in a while the twins let themselves be bad. They thought of the time when the rods shone brightest as morning, and the time when they dimmed a bit at night. But they never told anyone they'd done it. There's nothing they can teach us that we haven't learned ourselves. Mo had thought to him that morning, we can build, we can hoard, we can travel, we can fight, we can think as straight and as clear as the path between the Ender Dragon's home and the outer islands. I like our life this way, the way it is. I don't see why it should ever change. Just like you said before, you don't want to go to the overworld. Well, I don't want to go to the dome. That's how you know we're twins. We're the same, even when we're different. You don't have to go to the stupid Enderdome to learn how to sit back and have fun. The funny thing was, Finn knew she didn't really mean that. She didn't like their lives the way they were. He caught her staring off into the void lots of times, dreaming of something, someone, somewhere. She could never tell him what, and he didn't pry. He could have found out if he wanted to be a jerk about it, go peeping into the parts of Mo's mind she didn't broadcast, but that would have been rude, and he would have hated it if she'd done it to him. Finn let her have her secret so that he could keep his. It was only fair. Fairness was a kind of order, he knew, but secrets were seeds of chaos, so he figured it all balanced out in the end. Either way, he knew Mo wasn't quite as happy as she pretended. A brother always knows. Their one and only friend, an Enderman named Can, didn't understand his fixation with the Ender's Dome at all. I hate training, he always told them. I am compelled by my hunbits to attend every day, and it's so boring and violent, and it hurts when the other frags hit me. Taskmaster Awari never stops doing anything about humans in the great chaos. I spend the whole time wishing I were somewhere else playing my music with nobody pummeling me. I even wish to be home, and I do not like home much either. When I complain, the taskmaster only tells me that if I get stronger, it will not hurt any more, or if I get faster, they will not be able to land a blow on me. But I do not want to be strong or fast. I only want the opposite of hurt. You are so lucky you do not have to go to the dome. Do not tell me any more about the wonderful you believe it is. You do not know. But if it will make you feel better, I can hit you several times very hard. But Finn didn't feel very lucky. He felt like a fragment with no humblance, an orphan with no place in the world. He felt like a freak. Finn just wanted to be normal. He just wanted to be like the rest of them. Why couldn't he be? Why did his humblance have to be go to the overworld in the first place? Why couldn't life just be good instead of lonely, cast off garbage? But of course, there wasn't fair. Life was good sometimes, and the grown-up Endermen had never been cruel about it. They just didn't know what to do with the twins. They were friendly enough when Finn and Mo went into Telos for supplies or to see the lots of Endermans. The great holiday when all the Endermen celebrated the birth of the great chaos, the beauty of their land, and the strength of their family groups. Their own private ends. Of course, the twins weren't allowed to celebrate Endermans properly. You couldn't really without an end. It was the one day of the year all the Endermen made music, singing carols together in vast end clusters, but the twins loved to watch the lights all the time, from afar, from the outside, like everything else in their world. Greetings, Finn, greetings, Mo, the adult Endermen would always think when they saw them on the streets. Are you not afraid to venture alone and a weekend after the misfortune which has been fallen your life? Thanks for bringing it up, Finn always shot back. and had usually shut them up. It wasn't too long till Enderman's now. He could have to think of something special to get Mo and Con and Grumpo. Suddenly, an Enderfrag flashed into the grass next to him. She was small and stocky, shorter than Finn. Her black skin cracked with little purple energy. The Enderfrag turned to stare at him. When you made contact with another person's thoughts for the first time, you usually saw something welcoming. Whatever it was told you a lot about the person you were sharing minds with, like a snapshot of their soul. When he looked into Moa's head, the image of their ship greeted him. The door to the to the hold was always open, and the interior always full of treasure and little beasties from all over the end. Even a tiny ender dragon perched on top of the torches. She loved animals, even though she'd never really seen any other of the ED and shulkers and endermites. But she'd heard people talk about the pigs and cows and sheep and foxes and turtles and squid of the overworld a million times. So she imagined she knew all about them. Mo's mind looked like a full home full of happy animals that looked almost, but somehow, at the same time, not at all like actual pigs and cows and sheep and foxes and turtles and squid. When Finn looked into Khan's thoughts, he saw musical notes dancing in beautiful spirals. Khan loved music that much, of course. Finn couldn't see into his own head because he lived in it, but Mo told him his was a beautiful, friendly room full of open books and pens to write in them, lying on every table and chair and floor, too. When he looked at the Enderman's mind, Finn saw her end all those humbents and fragments and nubs standing close together, arms tangled around one another and other until you couldn't tell where one stopped and another began. She was the worst. By the great chaos I believe I have conjured too far and too swiftly. The gasp into his mind, I believe you have done likewise, friend. Shall we go back together? Good job, Finn mumbled. His envy burned him up inside. In a minute she was going to flicker back to the Enderdome, and he'd still be by myself with a half-eaten chorus fruit. They looked alike, but they were nothing alike. They were friends. They weren't friends. They could never be friends. Even the way she thought, all those pretty formal words trying to sound like grown-ups, like a big, tall Enderman with their elegant telepathic speeches just because she was in the dome, and grown-ups liked her and probably told her she was doing a good job at being a lean, mean, human stomping machine all the time. Well, those lovely thoughts wouldn't last. They were pretty far from the dome now. The stack wouldn't hold. Finn had a lot of practice stacking at a distance. You had to, if you lived on the outskirts of everything. But she had no practice at all. If she stayed here more than a few minutes, just the two of them, her thoughts would be more like me strong, me stupid. And then she'd probably hit him, and she'd have to decide whether it served the great chaos to hit her back. Attend a moment. The Enderfrag thought. Finn could feel her mind curling away from his. He knew that feeling. All the normal fragments did it when they realized who he was. One of them. One of the weird ones. One of the orphans. One of the endless twins who lived out of that broken old ship like shulkers. The back of Finn's neck pricked all over. Pins and needles like a foot that had fallen asleep. That was what he felt like when Enderman snickered nastily at you. I do not know you, the fragment went on. Finn squirmed. You are not in my training cluster. Why have you escaped the dome? Where is your husband? Where is your end? It is lonely out here on the dunes. There are hours of instruction. You are not allowed to be alone during those hours. No Enderfrag is. I am, thought Finn sharply. I am allowed, and my twin is too. The fragment nailed her magenta eyes, trying to work it out. I don't get it. There it was. Her thoughts were slipping. Too much time away. Too much. Unstacked. My name is Finn. My twin is Mo. You're Naka, right? That is correct. Nanka shook her head. Yeah, Nanka. How can you know Nanka if Nanka does not know you? Why are you out here alone and not in training with us? Alone is dangerous. Come back with Nanka. I have no end, Finn snapped. I have no hunbits. And because I have no hunbits, the Enmoot decided I and my twin must live apart and not go to the Interdome with you and all your happy little friends. Without an end, we could never be clever enough to deserve training. So they said. Oh, thought Nanka. Oh, is right, thought Finn. But I can do anything you can do. You'll see some day. When you think about it, I and my twin are true spawn of the great chaos. Family groups are a kind of order, not that anyone around here notices, and I'm free of it. Unlike you, I'm gonna go now. Naka thought sheepishly. Dunno what to do or say, so I go. Fine, Finn thought and kicked the grass. I am. Do it then. I go. So go. The Enterprise glared at him. You stupid, she thought nastily. Naka vanished. Finn stood up and walked the few short paces to the edge of the grassy island. After a moment, he pitched his fruit over the side. He was hungry and he wasn't hungry anymore. The young Enderman watched it tumble end over end into the void. She's stupid, he thought. They're all stupid. It doesn't matter. But it did. Of course it did. Mo perched on one of the high obsidian pillars on the central island of the end. She rested her back against the silver cage that held flickering crystal flames that lit the place like little trapped moons. The ender dragon swooped around and around. Its huge dark wings flapped up and down, slowly, effortlessly, as though flying was ever so much easier than sitting on the ground like a lump. Its massive, blocky head moved side to side like a shark's, always seeking something, something it never found. Mo couldn't imagine what a beast like that could want. What could it lack that it could not simply take? Every once in a while the dragon crouched on the ground for a moment, but it was never happy there. Always, always it heaved up into the black sky again, resuming its endless circles. No, the Ender Dragon's words appeared in her head like someone had written them out on a vast bright piece of paper. It answered her question before she'd ever asked it. I am never bored, not in all the long, hard boiled, seething history of existence. I ate my boredom when the comments were young. It tastes like death. It was happening. ED was talking to her. Her. Mo. Mo the nobody. Way more than hark or hail to thee. And Finn wasn't even here. He was off moping at the Enderdome for no good reason. Mo didn't care one bit about the other Endermen keeping their distance and making all the sorts of rules about them. She cared about her twin, her loot, her friend, her dragon. Well, not hers, really. No dragon could ever be anybody's. But nobody was as fascinated by the great beast as Mo was. No one cared about it the way she did. As far as she could tell, no one else even bothered much with it, or was bothered by it. The Ender Dragon was like the sun in the overworld. It was just there. It did what it did. You didn't have to try to be nice to it, or have a conversation with it, or love it. That would be weird. ED occasionally decided the twins were worth speaking to. You never knew if today would be that day or not, though, and it was the first time it had spoken to Mo alone, without Finn. It was a very fickle dragon, and not terribly nice, but terribly interesting all the time. The most interesting thing in the world to Mo. She focused her thoughts and sent them across the cool air between the pillars toward the long black serpent. All hail the great chaos, Mo thought joyfully. If you must, Fragment, answered the Ender Dragon. Why do you keep going in the same circles in the same island all in time forever? Why don't you ever just fly away? You're so big and strong you could go anywhere, do anything. No one could stop you. Why don't you go why don't you have adventures? That's what I would do if I were a dragon. Edie slid one purple eye toward her as it glided lazily through the night. Who says I am not having an adventure right now? Before your miserable mortal eyes. I do? Me? You're just flying in circles. That's not an adventure. That's barely an afternoon walk. You would think that, growled the dragon silently. You are small. I do not expect anything else from the likes of you. Hey, that's not very nice. Mo was hurt, a little. She knew she couldn't be hurt by what a monster thought of her, but she couldn't help it. The dragon sailed higher, its thoughts falling down on her like rain. I am not nice, so that makes a certain amount of sense. Does it not? I ate nice, too. When the volcanoes had not yet learned to erupt, it was bothering me. Well, prove me wrong then. Big guy, tell me about your adventure. It has not yet begun. Then go out and get it. You understand nothing. You are stupid and small, and you understand nothing. I waste my time with you, and my time is precious beyond diamonds. Tears sprung up in Mo's eyes. You don't have to be so mean to me. I do not have to be kind either. No law compels me. No creature can force me. I wish I was a dragon. Then I could say whatever I wanted to anyone, and they could do anything back because I'd be so big and black and fearsome, and I could breathe fire. And if I was a dragon, I wouldn't just flap around in circles like an useless bat. She tried desperately not to cry. I would burn down anyone who hurt me or hurt Finn. I would fly to the overworld and stop every bad thing from happening. I would destroy everyone who ever hurt an Enderman, and I would bring my Humbents back. She didn't add, but felt deeply clutching at her heart. But that was ridiculous. The Humbents were gone. Even a dragon couldn't get them back. She didn't even remember them, really. If you lined up all the Endermen who had perished in the overworld, Mo wouldn't even know who to save. Edie swung low. Its shadow startled several elder Endermen, who looked up after it with blank faces. Child, you are not a dragon. You are a fragment. You are not even that. You are but a fragment of a fragment. And because you are not a dragon, it is beyond the capability of your mind to comprehend that these, right now, here, on this island, among these pillars, are the most enjoyable days of my infinite, endless life. I don't understand. Yes, I said, you are stupid. I am not. Go away. I tire of you. But I want you to know about your adventure. Why did you talk to me if you were just going to call me names? The best time in the world, the Ender Dragon hummed into her dark skull, is the time before the adventure starts. Before it starts, it is possible, just possible, that it could end differently than it always ends. It is quiet now. Quiet is a vacation for the mind. Soon the adventure will begin, and at the end of every adventure lies pain. At the end of every adventure, you must ask if it was ever really your adventure at all. Perhaps you were only an obstacle in someone else's quest. Mo sighed. I like you better when you're not talking in riddles just to make me feel dumb. Edie let a ribbon of fire roll out of its mouth into the darkness. I like you better when you're gone. Fine, Mo thought miserably. Whatever. It's more use talking to Grumpo than you. You're nothing but nasty. I brought you lunch. Not that you care. Not that I care either. It's not even for you. I just had it lying around. Whatever. The Enderman pulled a couple of particularly ripe chorus fruits out of her pack and laid them gently on top of the pillar, where the dragon could easily reach them. The Ender Dragon hovered briefly, staring at her offering. It is time for that already, I thought softly, so it must be. I don't know what that means, Mo thought. You are an insect to me. Insects know nothing. I love you anyway. She always should try to tell the dragon that whenever it talked to her, so it knew, even if it ate love for breakfast and turned it into fire in its mouth. I have no time for this. Go away. Edie's tail vanished into the shadows, flying away from her. Fine, Mo thought, and kicked the silver cage with the flame burning away within. It's just a big dumb snake. Doesn't matter. But it did. Of course it did. Mo left the fruit where it lay and teleported away from the tall black pillar. After a long moment, the Ender Dragon returned and snatched them up with its long, fiery tongue. I ate them with great relish. That wraps up chapter 2. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope that you stay tuned for chapter 3. I will see you guys next time.